Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Benefits Cool Down. I'm Eric Silverman. That's my good friend, partner in crime on the West Coast, Ed Legande. Ed, we talked a lot already this year about multiple things. What's on the agenda for today? What's on your mind?
Well, recently I was actually just catching just a recent tidbit on LinkedIn with our friends Kareim, Cade, and Andy Neary on the Black and White series. And I actually was wondering, have you caught one of those yet by chance?
Oh, man, I love those guys. And no, I've never heard of that. No, of course I've heard of that series. Wake Up on Mars. Anybody who's on LinkedIn's heard of that series and they've watched it. They're my heroes, literally superheroes. All three of you, Kareim and Andy are all Rockstars Rockin' podcast alumni, shameless plug. But I will say that I love what they're talking about. And I'll tell you why. So I started out, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to drop a link in the comment section below to give them their proper shout out and kudos, and you can check out their episodes. But if you don't know, they started a series, Andy Neary, trainer, marketer, former insurance advisor extraordinaire, and Kareim Cade. They started this series called Black and White, and I believe that the subtitle is Truth About Benefits Advising. If I got that wrong, I'm sorry, Andy and Kareim, but that's what I remember, I think. And what I really like that it dives deep into is the next generation of benefit superstars, rising stars, the people in the industry that are not yet in the industry, and or the people that are young or still growing in the industry that need to get better. And it's all focused on training, as from what I've seen. And coming from a guy that, in my case, I'm a former or a recovering carrier rep, as I like to say, and also as Kareim was as well, I believe, or in fact, I know he was. It's really meaningful when you're recruiting and bringing on new talent in the industry to make sure they're trained properly. Too few our industry agencies have any type of training whatsoever. Most advisors, brokers, consultants, if they hire somebody brand new with no experience in benefits, they just assume and hope and pray that they have some sales background. And it doesn't translate the same way. Just because you know how to sell cars doesn't mean you can sell benefits, right? And the reality is you have to double down on the training. And I see a lot of industry agency owners, they complain. They always talk about, wow, I'm having too much turnover in my sales department or this, that, whatever. And the question that I believe these guys would go back to, as well as me, is what's your training program look like? And the answer we typically would receive is, what training program? What do you mean? We give them we give a Monday morning meeting and we talk to them real quick. It's not training. Have you invested in your team? If they're not good at sales or they're not equipped properly with the right tools, are you willing to invest by sending them to a sales seminar with some of the most proficient and explosive sales leaders in the world, regardless of industry? Are you willing to invest in them and let them go to one of those workshops or bring them in-house and do it once a week, right? I know Andy Neary does it. I know Nelson Griswold does it. I know Ryan Miller does it. These are folks that agencies can hire to bring in to train on various components within sales, marketing, leadership, how to build an effective health plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that's number one. Number two, and I love how Kareim talks about it. What about the diversity side, right? You and I have talked about it, but I'm the first to tell you that it's not just, to use their term, it's not just black and white. That's big, but it's also age, right? One of the first meetings I ever had in the industry more than 20 years ago, I was closing deals. I was a superstar in my own mind. I think I'm doing pretty well. And I remember I didn't get a deal. And I feel like I know for a fact I didn't get the deal because I was 20 something years old, the young 20s. The guy behind the table, the CEO, was, as Susan Combs would say, pale, stale, and male. He was really old, certainly compared to me. And I would say he's probably in his 70s at that point, maybe older. And he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want to listen from a punk kid like myself. So are you diversifying your talent pool, right? Are you bringing in folks of color? Are you bringing in folks from different nationalities? Are you bringing in folks of different ages and experiences levels? Are you bringing in various genders, male, female, and anything in between, right? The reality, guys, I can't tell you enough, is that stuff matters if you want to expand your growth and your network as an agency. And who am I to say it? I'm telling you, check out their series, Black and White. Andy Neary and Kareim Cade, they're revolutionizing the game. And with all genuine seriousness, I hope that our show gets to their level at some point, because they're heroes of mine. What do you think, Ed?
I mean, you basically kind of hit the nail on the head. I think for me, especially when it comes to the diversity aspect, what I don't want to have happen is that it's just a box to check for an employer, where it's just like, okay, diversity checked, right? Or offering medical checked, right?
That happens,
and it happens, and maybe it's well intentioned as well. However, for the longest time, I hear people say, I don't, and this is just my personal belief, where we say we don't necessarily see color. I think we're past it so much now that I think it's like you kind of have to, right? You need to be intentional in your diversity, your equity, your inclusion efforts in order to bring on that more diversity. But I also think, just from a diversity perspective, that's not even necessarily this color of your skin, it's the culture, and also even people from different industries as well. You're bringing in completely different mindsets and attitudes and experiences. Tell me that doesn't allow for some really great ideas to be birthed, right? As well. And so I'm just a massive believer in that, especially as we bring younger talent into this business. We need a sexier way to engage people, right? How many times have you heard an advisor say that they went to school to become a benefit advisor? Never, right? It's almost never. And I know there's some colleges out there that have insurance programs, but ultimately we need a better way to share our story. We have an incredible story to tell in this business. It's not necessarily always the insurance business. That's not going to get people excited to help people at the end of the day. And, I think you're absolutely right about Andy and Kareem's podcast, I think, or their show. It's incredibly fantastic. I think, I want to help elevate them as much as I can too. And hopefully you and I can do the same thing in helping people realize that this business is an actually incredible business to be in. And we have, you called it, responsibility creep on a previous episode, but the opportunity as well to change people's lives and change employers' lives and change their understanding of how employee benefits should be moved. So anyways, without belaboring the point too much.
No, you're spot on. I appreciate it. I love it. So again, big shout out, kudos to Andy and Kareim, our good friends. Appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. If you haven't checked out their show, check it out. I think I'm going to drop a link. I'm pretty sure they have a YouTube channel. Subscribe and like that channel while you're there. Check out that benefits cool down. I hear that's pretty cool. Shameless plug, hashtag. Ed, appreciate you as always. Anybody listening, watching, appreciate you. And stay tuned. We'll have another benefits cool down this time next week. Thanks, everybody.